Hey guys, and welcome to another Wednesday Pitch It Live, where we discuss a lot of innovating partners in the marketplace. My name's Adam Belansky, CEO and founder of Sierra Pacific Group, and I am enjoying today. It is fantastic. It's a little warm out here. I just came back from a trip this past weekend up the west coast of Oregon to a place called Tillamook. Amazing cheese and ice cream and butter and yogurt. It was a really great trip to disconnect from technology and so forth, because I am involved in technology every single day. Love my job, love what I do. In fact, I want to bring on my brother in technology when it comes to innovating, discussing, bring on cool vendors and partners. Sean Lardo from ConnectWise.
I mean, brother in technology. That sounds pretty
Brother in
cool,
technology.
actually.
I'm just making up every single week. It's a new term I make up.
Well,
So
as you know, I smoke a lot of cigars, and in the cigar world, they call it brother of the leaf and sister of the leaf. That's what they're called.
okay, we're not
So
going there. All right.
SOTL, sister of the leaf, BOTL, brother of the leaf, and that's what they are. Like it's almost like we drive Jeeps and wave at each other, or Harleys and wave at each other. We're part of that group. Um, I
Yeah.
feel like we just did that with tech.
Yeah, we are here for Pitch It again, another Wednesday. Two more great contestants involved in the program. Uh,
Yes.
Again, just recap 30-second pitch again for our viewers that maybe don't know what Pitch It is.
You want me to pitch it? I got you. Okay, good. Really simply put, Pitch It is a ConnectWise sponsored Shark Tank concept competition, right? It's 5 years in the running at this point. What the goal is to find innovative startup vendors that can be complementary to the ecosystem of ConnectWise, and most importantly, support the MSP mission, right? Um, the goal, as I mentioned, is a Shark Tank competition. So for the vendors, the goal is for them to progress through the preliminaries all the way to the finals. They're trying to become one of the finalists that can pitch live at IT Nation Connect in November 8th at 3 p.m. to be precise. So everybody needs to make sure they look at it on the agenda and be there for it, and support these guys. But the goal for them is to be there and compete for the grand prize of $70,000. Second place being $30,000, and third place, I believe, is a autographed book from you, which I got your book. Thank you very much. I haven't got to start reading it, but I will be. But that should be like third place as far as I'm concerned. Also, I think it's important to note, though, that we have 26 vendors in now. Once they go through the preliminaries at the end of August, those three finalists will get free boot space at IT Nation Connect. So they already win right there.
Dang,
All right.
that's a new one right there.
Well, we
So
had it. We just never talk about it. Like we've been doing it. It's just never. I never really thought to really discuss it because I thought about the 70,000. I was like, you know what though? As far as I'm concerned, that booth is worth its weight as gold because IT Nation Connect is a great show to generate business. Period.
yeah, it's awesome. So yeah, so IT Nation Connect, you're gonna be on stage. Pitch It contestants gonna be on stage, top three. And be sure and register. I'm gonna put the link up towards the end of this thing. I know I'm
Yeah.
excited to be out there. Every year, it's always a big, nice, fun time. A lot of education, a lot of content,
Oh
a
my
lot
God.
of great speaking sessions, a lot of great keynotes. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe Snoop Dogg will be out there. Maybe you were.
I asked him yesterday when I was at the concert and we were talking about the meaning of life, and I said,
Yeah,
it'd be cool if you come and if you just hung out.
yeah. So you come back from a Snoop Dogg concert and you start talking about the man of leaf and man of woman.
Brother leaf, sister leaf. That's not the same leaf. That's tobacco for cigars. But also, fun fact: it was a Snoop Dogg and Wiz Khalifa concert. Wiz Khalifa's from Pittsburgh.
That is a good fun fact. Thank you, Sean, for letting me know
You're
about
welcome.
that. That was
I'll be here all day.
thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
So we're here to actually talk with our contestants. So I'm gonna bring on Tim. Tim, how you doing, man?
Hey, how are you? Hey, happy what day of the week? Oh, it's Wednesday.
Wednesday.
Sean, it wasn't a 30-second pitch. So I'll give you my 15 extra seconds from the other day because you blew that 30-second pitch way out of the water.
I can do it in 30, but I had more information I wanted to cover, so I just didn't care because I'm not.
It's not what you tell me. Like to the facts, straight to the point, right? So anyway,
I did,
yeah,
and you you had 15 extra seconds from yesterday, so I took it.
Perfect. Well, you know what they say, eat your own dog food or, drink your own champagne, or maybe Snoop says, smoke your own whatever.
Tim is on fire. So managing, so Tim, compliance risk. Tell us a little bit about compliance risk, what you guys do.
Oh, we help you keep your risk in check, right? So compliance risk was born out of our MSP, having spent the last 20 years or so dealing with compliance frameworks such as NIST or FedRAMP, as you may well know. And we really just saw that need in the MSP community to be able to, operationalize a compliance program for an MSP for your clients at scale. And so as we got more involved in the MSP community, we just saw this gap in the current tool sets that we had. And, like everything else, build or buy. So we chose to build our own to solve that governance gap in the space. And, it's been going pretty well over the last, let's see, it's August. So 8 months now that we've been up and running and fully operational. So yeah, I mean, we're here to help MSPs with the complex world of compliance and breaking it down in little bite-sized chunks so you can do this at scale.
Wow.
I really appreciate that in general. And yeah, in our space for MSPs, it's needed, but it's the same concept used in corporate, right?
Yeah.
It absolutely is. And so I think people, and it's funny because years ago I was on stage with a couple other people and they were talking about what they should have for cybersecurity and whatnot. And there was an MSP saying, well, should we be doing this? And the guy that was next to me speaking about cybersecurity said, well, and it was all about the real estate companies. It was like, he said, Sotheby's is doing this. So Sotheby's is doing this. Don't you think you should be looking into it? Because that means it's coming down the pike. So you should be ready for it I don't care who you're working with. If they're already doing it, they're setting the standard, you need to follow suit.
Yeah, you make a really good point there, Sean. With our 20 years of history working in the federal space, seeing what's coming down the pipe, knowing what's going to end up happening to the MSPs at the other end. I mean, let's face it, we're the gatekeepers of so much stuff, right? And so where compliance risk can really help you shift left, get to that left side of boom and really get prepared, not only for the requirements, but for when boom actually happens, right? So our governance platform will really guide you and, by the way, your clients through this process and doing it at scale in a cost-effective, easy manner.
Yep.
We like to say we make policy documentation and governance less boring and more sexy.
I appreciate that, but I think something you said that we probably needed to there's 2 points that you mentioned that we probably should address real quick. One is right a boom, left a boom, right? The fact is everybody gets hit with something at some point regardless, right? So you're trying to mitigate. However, the mitigation up to this to date has been pretty dismal at best, right? Which is why you've seen this huge push of all these companies that do a lot of stuff.
Yeah, and so you're exactly right. As IT professionals, as IT geeks, I hate to use the word, but we're ones and zeros, bytes and bits and tools and like cool kinds of things. We always forget the be prepared side, right? The Boy Scout model, the be prepared side. Like we just want to cut to the end result. The reality is the more that you prepare up front, the more that you have your documentation, your policies, your procedures, and your steps in order up front, the easier and better it will be after the event happens because you'll know what to do and you'll have a plan in place.
Well said. I am an Eagle Scout. I don't know if my audience knew that, but I am an Eagle Scout. I grew up in the whole Boy Scout thing. So
I almost made my Boy Scout joke, but I'm not going to.
Probably best you don't.
I was a Boy Scout too.
Yeah, nice. So Tim, appreciate it. Thank you for that intro. I'm gonna put you back in the green room and bring out Wayne here. Wayne, how you doing?
I'm doing good, Adam. Thanks very much for having me. Hello again,
Awesome.
Sean. Sorry for asking you just when you took a drink. Sorry, I apologize.
I'm doing great, Wayne. Don't worry about me. I'm just gonna chill here. You just keep on. It's like you're like a good waiter. You only ask how the meal is.
I just waited until it was just arriving to
They watch you like, oh, he's food in his mouth. Ask him how the meal is. He can't complain.
100%. That is a thing. 100%.
I know.
Sure.
How you been, man? Your hair looks great.
Thank you very much. I let it grow out a little bit actually, so
good.
I'm just trying to get a new color into it. So it's
Yeah.
very shiny today. I like how it gets shiny these days.
You know what? It looks good. I commend you. I mean, like I used a hair tie, so we're good. Moving on.
Wow. Okay. So Wayne, Symoda, what do you guys do? I'm curious where you're from too. So let's hear it.
Okay, I'll jump into what we do first, and then I'll jump into where I'm from. I'll give you a bit of my background. So we're a SaaS provider, and we're looking to solve the communication problems that are out there within the MSP space. We're app centric, looking to implement AI and automate as many roles within the MSP that we can. I come from Ireland, Adam. But I've been in the MSP space for over 20 years. I was a partner in MSP in Canada. That's where I am right now. So I probably got this weird kind of Irish/North American kind of sound as well. But in there, really coming from Ireland was great for me because I always felt like I was a little bit of an outsider. So I always felt like I had this different approach and this different way of looking at things. And at Symoda, we're very much an outside in, looking at what's the experience for the end user. How can we make that better? But having all the experience of all the issues that we continuously saw over our experience within the MSP that we had in Ottawa, and we consistently saw these issues all the time: communication, consistency, and we want to fix them.
Sweet.
Actually, Adam's like, wow. All right, how do you fix it?
So communication, kind of just first off the bat, I always kind of give the analogy of you're waiting on a plane and the plane has landed or else you're waiting to take off. You don't know what's happening. You're kind of sat there, but you're in this kind of tube and you know something needs to happen to go forward. So with our app, we're allowing people to have better understanding of what's going on within their tickets. Has it been assigned? What's the process that's within there? They're able to communicate directly within that ticket as well. And we're going to bring elements of self-serve and self-guided solutions with that as we grow. And then on the consistency side of things, we want to evolve the email and the phone calls that people are having. And they're not going to go away anytime soon. But people want to have that same experience. They don't want to feel that every so often when I call and I get to talk to John over here, I get great service. But if I talk to Michael over here, sometimes it's not great. And we want to get people started in. We want to have the MSP have control of that experience a little bit more, to be able to guide that and give them a really good initial experience from onboarding a user right through to helping them solve their problems.
Awesome. I as you said that, I thought about Amazon.
Yeah.
The order, you can check and see when you place it, where it is, distribution, this, that,
That's
whatever. So I understand to some degree when I'm going to receive, because I think that's the hardest part. I think one of the most challenging things for tech teams, especially, is to set the proper expectation on when things will be solved. Right? We can talk about SLAs all day, right?
We can,
but SLAs are just, it's a formality. And everybody, when they put a request in, they need to know, yeah, I know in 24 hours you're going to get back to me. But that's like the only SLA. And resolution, if there's a technology, you'll say we're 99% uptime, whatever you use, right? But what does that mean, right? Because I'm part of that 1% right now.
Exactly. Right? That's it. That's 100% it. And not everybody, we're not creating a social media app where you're going to spend all your time in there. We got to have something that you're able to pick up, use really, really easily for you, and guide you through the process, but again, give you good information. And the reason why we're app centric is that we want to be able to utilize the pieces that come with the platforms from the mobile side. So can we use notifications, push information to people, and allow them to communicate back, get them where they are. So imagine being in the gym, going for a run, and you're able to use your Apple Watch to say, yes, I approve you restarting my machine. I don't have to stop. I don't have to wait. The tech can keep working, and off we go.
Right. Awesome.
Cool. Let me just snapshot this real quick. So Symoda, it looks like you guys develop a branded app that an MSP's client can use to be able to check the status of tickets, where things are at, all within a branded app. So like the Amazon word. Okay. Cool. I mean, that's pretty slick.
Thank you.
I go ahead. I'm gonna bring Tim back in. Tim is
well, I think
reading.
Oh, we're back. Yeah. So just doing a little bit of reading up on my own policies and procedures and remembering like, hey, we're on a live stream. What's my process for that? I need to Hey, Wayne, good to meet you.
When he's going through
so I think we have I think that there's a great marriage between both vendors here in regards to what you're doing, because you guys aren't competitors in the space, right?
Sean, always the matchmaker.
I am. You know, I feel like we should do like that. Remember the old school dating game where you had to be behind the curtain and I think we should like do that'd be amazing, right? But I think that, you know, but when I look at this, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, you know, yes, Tim, what you do is you have a platform, but at the end of the day, yours is based off of giving the suggestion they need to be doing this stuff first, right? They have to buy into it, right? And then there's an execution piece behind this. You're doing an element of it as well. However, part of what Symoda does is helps you with that part, correct? Because they're part they're one of the components, because you're almost like the overarching everything that you're touching because of its being compliance. Because everything you do falls under that.
Exactly. And hey, Wayne, good to see you again as well. So you're right. There are a lot of potential symbiotic relationships between what we're doing with Polygon and what Wayne's doing over there with Symoda. Did I pronounce that right?
You pronounced it perfect this time, Sam. I love it. I loved it.
Perfect. Yeah, you know, here's the thing, right? We want to help bring this all full circle. In fact, we're already starting to do this, right? You know, with things like ConnectWise, starting with asset management and bringing that whole full circle all the way down through the tickets if we wanted to, right? Through Symoda, right? All the way through that whole process. So you start with left of boom, you end up on right of boom, and you bring it full circle.
No, definitely, Tim. That's a great analogy. But I think as well, like from my experience from being in the MSP space, is process and training will always get you so far. We need tools to help with this, and tools that are built off things like compliance, things that give customer experience. It means you've now got more control. But then also, even if that ecosystem that the MSP changes from, we can now change and plug and play so the end user doesn't get as affected. Because if you were going to move from one tool to another before, you're forklifting anywhere from 1,000 to 6,000, 7,000 people and trying to communicate them. Here's the new way to communicate with me and all those different things. We want to alleviate that and solve those problems and really kind of give that MSP that experience or that great customer service experience that clients are yearning for, really.
Yeah. You know, we have talked about this in the past. It's the, you know, add-on versus rip and replace, right? And we like to consider like these are add-on pieces, right? And the whole rip and replace, Wayne, as you mentioned, it can be tiresome. It can be tedious. It can be not fun at all. So, you know, we try to make sure, at least with Polygon, we've got 26 integrations right now that we're currently in the works. So being able to be that add-on partner so that, you know, you can work seamlessly and your clients don't know the otherwise.
Let me ask this then. Let's go back to rip and replace, right? A lot of times people rip and replace way too premature.
They do.
And since you both have been in space for quite some time, and Adam too now, that have run MSPs and whatnot, or any small business, I don't even care if it's MSP, it could be any business. I find that a lot of times when they do that, you find people that do it because they thought they got the grass was greener kind of concept, right? And there was a bunch of promises that were being made that we're going to help you get this up and running. You're going to be golden. It does all these cool things. The reality is most of these things do all the same things to a degree. Obviously, some nuances. We know that, like, because, you know, it's really about how you know, so it's not worth the rip and replace. So would it make sense that you guys really assess, if you help them assess if they should rip and replace too? You know, like, again, compliance-wise, we'll start with that, Tim. Compliance-wise, they have to know if it's compliant. On the other side, is it executionable, which is where Wayne comes into play, kind of, right?
Yeah. Exactly.
Yep. 100%.
Yeah, we do see a lot of the, you know, vendor due diligence conversations happening in the MSP space. I can't tell you how many webinars I've participated in. As an MSP, we have a very well-defined vendor due diligence, but the reason why we're doing that is security and compliance. The reason why these conversations are happening about vendor due diligence, not just at the MSP, but globally, supply chain globally. You hear that. Let's say Log4j one more time.
Oh, God.
The reason why is, you know, compliance is here. It's happening. And, you know, we try to help, you know, kind of fill that gap in for you. all the way down to now being able to communicate that with Symoda, sorry, mouthful.
You get
Symoda.
silent D,
Platform.
silent D.
It's not even hard. Like, honestly, when I look at his name and I look at the company name,
Hold on.
Wayne Creamer Symoda. It's pretty, like,
Yeah,
I
I
think
just
of
had a
soda
drink.
and I think of, like, literally cream at this point. Like, I don't know. Just saying.
Okay.
I will say, just to touch on the end of this topic, for me as well, the goal within every integration that we do, and I anticipate us doing lots over the years, because really we want to, as I said, be that front end to an ecosystem. We don't want to make any of these integrations hard, complex. It's got to be less than an hour. It's got to be easy maintained. It's got to not cause any issues for anybody, and just work. And that's really, I think that was one of the big things. A lot of the tools for the MSP space have just been too broad. And yeah, they can do some amazing things, but we're all too damn busy to spend any time on that, because there's always fires and different things that are going on that you got to be able to work with.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so you make a really good point. Are you the Swiss Army knife or are you the precision scalpel? We are the precision scalpel. Maybe someday we'll be the Swiss Army knife, but we recognize that MSPs are overwhelmed, overworked, and don't have time to deal with the Swiss Army knife. They're cool, they're fun. I have a Gerber, but I prefer my little one-bladed buck knife most of the time.
Look at you pulling out your military repertoire. My Gerber.
Well, if I was going to say that, I'd probably say, yeah. Anyways,
I know.
So let me ask this question, Tim. I'll start with you first. You know, what decided, when you think of compliance, it's like, okay, well, you're jumping into, you know, like an attorney or litigation. Like, why would you want to become an attorney or litigate or argue all day long? You know, why did you jump into compliance? I'm curious.
So everybody makes that leap, right? And I kind of was putting this out there for feelers. Like, when people hear the word compliance, they immediately go to legal and attorney and scary and lawsuits and suing. Wait, no. Listen, compliance, we call it the referee, right? It is the guidelines and the rules in which the game is played. It is not the lawyers and the judges and the law. It is the guidelines, the guardrails, the rules of playing the game, right? We all talk about cybersecurity, but how do we play the game? With compliance, we now have a framework, a rule set to play in our swim lanes.
So
right?
what you basically are saying is, the reason why I did this is because you like to be the referee and make the rules. Good job. Love it.
Or I like to enforce the rules and help people understand those rules.
So you're a sadist. Okay, good. Got that too. Good.
So,
yeah.
So,
He said, yeah. He said, yeah.
Okay.
Rule maker, rule breaker, rule taker. Hey, there's an Aerosmith song in there somewhere, or Snoop Dogg.
Okay, so Wayne, same question to you. You know, why'd you get started in, you know, creating Symoda?
Indeed. Simona or
Symoda.
What's it called? Oh, it's called Simona. Thank you.
Right.
But no, for me, again, kind of as I mentioned, kind of that outside look. I always had a different perspective of customer service, and over my years, every single conversation I sat down in front of, from running operations at an MSP, you are always having conversations about bad communication, bad consistency, whatever it is. That's kind of it. And that's, you're usually only having those conversations with the 10% of your clients who are really unhappy and are contemplating about to leave. And then you've got your 10% over here that are static, and then you got that 80% in the middle who are trying to figure, we're just kind of plodding along and need some help. And really was to help that. It was to help consistency of service, allow stickiness for an MSP to be able to maintain their clients so they're not up to leave. And for me, we have successfully exited out of our MSP just over 2 years ago. So I decided to take the leap of faith. So I decided to jump from the cliff, and we're building the plane as we plummet to the ground. That's basically what we're doing right now. So
cool. I like it. So we did have a question from an audience, Keith, and so this is for you, Tim. I'm going to go ahead and pop it up there.
Well, there's a
Keith?
question first. If you talk about the one right before that is how people rip and replace when they've never fully implemented. It isn't really a question. We know that. That's something we talked about briefly. A lot of people, I think in the experience, and you guys can correct me, I think I've seen that you see guys that typically will only use about 10%. They,
100%. Yep.
And they're not taking advantage of it. That comes
Yep.
back to the Swiss Army knife scalpel thing too, right? Because when you do a Swiss Army knife, 10% is very applicable in this case because there's so many moving parts. But even as a scalpel, there's no reason why they should be at 10%. They should be well over 70 or 80%. I don't expect 100% ever, because some things are just not bad. Some things you offer just aren't really relevant to what I do. Maybe it's common. But again, now to the next point though, Keith said, yeah, Keith, you help me. All right. Can you go to his next comment, please, for the love of God? The actually important one. Align compliance in the client's business plan and process. I think that is a big part. How many MSPs purchase a product simply because they think that it's going to just be something that, hey, you know what, it aligns, but it doesn't, because it's really about a business process and need before a tool.
And as much as I love Keith, wasn't really a plant. Our first part of our 4A process is alignment, right? Bringing the alignment to the business practices in place, not something that you want to do, but what is actually there? What are you actually doing? Does that align to the business practices in place? That's step one of our 4-part secret sauce.
Shouldn't that be all of you in general? Shouldn't all vendors always look at how you align to do things to make sure you're being productive and effective?
Yeah, let me rephrase that. So what Polygon does is walks MSP through a 4-part process: alignment, authorization, adoption, and assessment. The first A of our 4-part process is alignment.
Got you. Okay. So you are given a white glove approach, essentially. That's what you're saying. Okay.
Yeah.
What about you, Wayne?
For us, it's really down to, as I said, understanding the needs that everybody has. But as I mentioned, kind of that outside-in approach is really where we want to take a look. We want exceptional customer experience, and really kind of define that out. But our goal is, I kind of mentioned before, is that easy setup, not a whole lot of effort. Make it almost so good and simple that there's no reason that you wouldn't want to provide it to your clients.
Makes sense. And actually, Keith has another good point there. The very bottom one. I mean, it's weird. Let's just take it while we can before he goes off the rails. He talks about enhancing, the process secret sauce, and I love how he snuck in the 1,000 per device limit, because he hates, and we've had this conversation at depth, when people say, I'm trying to get $50 a device, $100. He really doesn't even charge per device. He doesn't care about that, really. He charges based off of the value add services he provides, and that's it. And I think that's the enhancing process piece is probably what's key in this. One thing, and from both of your perspectives and as vendors, it would be, again, I think of when you talk about, let's use restaurants, right? Let's use the restaurants because they're great. They already have a governing body of sorts with OSHA and whatever else, right? So you already know those rules exist, right? Now on the other side, they can have passed all those, but it doesn't mean that they actually are a great place I want to go revisit. Right? So that's where the services come into play, right? Great service.
Exactly. Yep.
Charge what you want.
So you make a really good segue to restaurants, right, and OSHA, right? So while Polygon was built around cybersecurity and frameworks and governance, it can apply to OSHA. It can apply to HR. The same process doesn't matter the business unit within the organization. These things need to be governed, and that's what Polygon brings, is that governing process. Easy, fast, automated, tight and connect-wise, as simple as possible for the MSPs. So to point out Keith's comment, if you walked into your restaurant and said, hey, we're looking at your OSHA process right now, and we think we can help you operationalize that by putting Polygon in place, getting you there faster for less money. Now you're making that restaurants more efficient and more money.
Yep. Absolutely. I like that. But everything comes down with what the client's experience is, right? That's how you determine value, regardless. I don't care what you do. It's how I perceive the value from you all, right? And MSPs especially, they make their livelihood off of quality services. That's why 90% of the revenue comes from referrals.
100%. 100%. I don't think you can said it any better way, Sean. Like it's right down to how that has been delivered. And I think unfortunately there's sometimes we can be complacent about that because we're solving problems that are coming up from people. But yeah, how that happens truly is going to be a differentiator for MSPs in the short to near future.
Yep, absolutely. So I'm sorry, Adam, you have questions.
I was just about to jump in because this is a good segue into kind of like, I'm curious of like where compliance risk and where Symoda is going. So I'll start with you, Tim. Like, what do you see over the next 3 to 5 years in your particular business? What is your big next step?
Yeah, so obviously we started with this precision scalpel of policies and procedures. We just rolled out complete asset governance. Nobody's doing that. Not even the RMN tools are doing that. Where we're headed with policy as code. You write a document, you have a procedure, and you tie it to the tool that the MSP is using, and you bring that continuous monitoring and that continuous governance full circle, right? Policy as code is where we're headed. Documentation as code. Because truth be told, the data is out there. The MSPs have the tools to prove the compliance rules and regulations. Now I'm going to tie them all together.
Gotcha. Now, when you say tie them all together, do you also, again, we've had insurance companies on here, cyber insurance companies, right? Because you're dealing with cyber. So do you partnered with them and kind of bring the whole picture together?
So our friends over at Fifth Wall, y'all know Wes and Dustin and the rest of the team over at Fifth Wall. We partnered with Ninja, did a big thing about a couple of weeks ago, and Fifth Wall and myself, or Compliance Risk, just created and published on our website an incident response plan that you can freely download off our website that is built with cyber insurance in mind and compliance in mind, based on CIS. So you can literally grab this document off of our website, read the instructions, modify some questions along the way on how you are doing business, and you have a full-blown IRP that will align to most insurance companies.
That's pretty slick. Really awesome. Cool. Thank you, Tim. Wayne, so where do you see Symoda? Where do you guys see in 3 to 5 years, and what's the big thing you're working on?
So for right now, the big thing we're working on is really replicating those roles. So from a dispatcher to the level 1 technician, we're trying to bring in the tasks that people have been doing quite a lot. So from triaging tickets, putting the right SLA, assigning it to the right person, right through to giving a guided way to solve password resets through Office 365, deploying out software to people's machines. That's really kind of the areas that I see as working kind of in the short term, 1 to 3 years. But what I anticipate kind of quickly afterwards, and maybe even before that, is we want to have Symoda be the tool that everybody asks their question through. So not only just be an IT question, but any operational question I want to ask. I want to have, how many days vacation do I have available to myself? What do I need to do I need to go on a trip in the future. So I need someone to book me a flight, or I need to do that. It automatically pre-fills out the forms for you and sends it off to the operations team to do those things. I truly see that being the full future of what Symoda is. But then we want to be able to package that, be able to give it to the MSP, and have the MSP have the ability to sell that to their clients themselves. So now they're able to give them a professional service addition to what they're already doing, increase stickiness, and really start to understand and make their clients more operationally mature as well. That's truly where I see the vision of the 5 years.
So you said you want them to sell it to them.
Have the ability to be able to resell as well. Yes.
Okay.
So they use the tool themselves. They've got that. They can use it within their own space.
So stage 1 is adoption of MSPs using it. Best practice, which I think that is applicable to Tim's also, right?
It is.
100%. Yeah.
You should be doing this work on yourself, period. That's why we offer it for free for MSPs to use it internally, period.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you're not eating your own dog food, drinking your own champagne, whatever, like, you probably shouldn't be an MSP. I'm just saying, like, practice what you preach, right? Do this work on yourself, both from a compliance perspective and from Wayne's perspective and your ticketing and all that other stuff.
Yep, I think it's spot on. I'm glad you guys went down the path of talking about that next, especially for you, Wayne, with that whole thing of what's the next level look like, right? Because the reality is, in order for Tim's to work, by the way, he has to have the clients be compliant also, because that's usually
100%.
users are the difficult part, right? That's
Mhm.
MSPs I'm not going to speak for all MSPs because some we know don't really do the best job at it. The ones that don't make it don't do a great job at this stuff. But a lot of times your challenge starts with the end users. And I did a fireside chat. Keith actually, there goes Keith again. Keith Nelson and Jay Ryerson and myself did a fireside chat at Secure two last year's, not this past one, about the difference between the chicken and the egg. Is it the technology or is it the training user that has to be developed to protect yourself? Which is more important? Realistically, neither are more important. They're both equally as important, right? Yeah. And so now to your side though, Wayne, it's like, how do you make it happen too? Right?
There's going to be lots of pieces to that. That's why I said we're going to have lots of integrations in the future. Using generative AI models to suck in people's employment contracts, everything from that to understand what's available to them. But really, people want to have that assistance. They want to be able to just ask those questions. They want it to be able to be concise to their environment. And if you can just imagine, like an MSP be able to tell their clients in the future, here's an app that has your name on it. Like people, if they want to go and get support, Symoda is not going to ring a bell for someone who opens up 2 tickets a year. But if all of a sudden their organization has an app that they can use to ask all their assistant information through that, that has a huge weight to there. And it helps provide the MSP the ability to be able to work with them and understand their business, because unfortunately at some stage professional services work is going to start to dry up for an awful lot of MSPs, because you're not going to have as many pieces of hardware that need to be deployed. And we've really got to start understanding how do they operate and how can we help their business internally and understand their business.
And for us, that's the easiest way for our MSPs and how they found to roll out Polygon is to start having those conversations with the HR department, with other business units, the sales department, other business units within the organization where these things, they may already be doing it, but inefficiently, right? And so bringing that efficiency to these other areas of the business units of your clients, I mean, it's going to be a win-win. Like as Wayne pointed out, like the days of buying and selling hardware, like we were just talking about this on Facebook, like, do I sell a client a laptop that they can get on Amazon for $300 cheaper? Like that whole, like the days of the typical MSP are starting to wean. You're seeing that happen over and over. So we need to move to that consulting piece.
I would say you should, if you have a process built that supports a specific softwares and hardwares, right? Again, if you are the end all be all, and let's say you have government contracts, they're exactly what you have to be protected completely. Yeah, so yes, you do. You then say, yes, here's the even if they can spend less, what's it worth more? By you saying they're going to get a laptop for $300 less, but they're going to get hacked, you've contradicted yourself, right? So you have to say, you can buy this laptop, but I'm looking at it and it's missing all these things, because typically it is.
Yep.
Right? We know it is. So you have to buy, this is the stack we work with. These are the hardwares and softwares we use. This is where now you have to make it easier to buy.
You mean the MSP actually has a policy and a procedure in place for working with their clients. If only there was a Polygon platform that could help them with
that. For sure.
Exactly.
So let's shift topics here. Let's talk about PitchIT. So Wayne, I'm gonna start out with you. So what's your experience been like in PitchIT, and again, how's it going so far?
It's been awesome, like being able to sit down, talk to people on kind of the other side of the MSP space. People who've either some people haven't even kind of worked in the MSP space, and they're coming in and they're bringing their ideas to it, has been exceptional. So every single speaker that we've had has been phenomenal, and I don't want to name drop certain people, but it's every single one has been eye-opening every single time. There's just different nuggets that are there. And understanding what's going on in the space right now, there's so much that's going on. We've got such an amazing channel that's out there. ConnectWise does a phenomenal job of maintaining that. Yeah, no, it's been great. I can't fault it. Anybody who's contemplating going into the space, 100% check this out. It's well worth it.
And you get to spend quality time with me, and that's important.
We got to spend a lot of time together, Sean. We have indeed, which is great.
I think people should know that, like, because I'm a pain in the ass, so they should know.
Yeah, I can vouch for that. I can vouch for that.
So Tim, same question.
Yeah, so always a bridesmaid, never a bride, right? This is my second year, my second entrance into the PitchIT competition, and sadly my last, because we're only allowed twice, which is okay, because this year I'm going to win when you all vote for me. However, the difference this year from last year is, there's obviously a lot more competitors in the space, right? There's a lot more competition amongst the vendors. I know Sean has been getting us to kind of battle each other. And so while I do want to integrate with what Wayne's stuff, I'm still going to beat you in the PitchIT when we get there in November.
Correct.
I would have no illusion to think that you wouldn't try and do that at all, Tim. I'll be there ready to, I'll have some sort of laser beam to get you in the eyes while you're on stage just before I come up and win.
So. It's about time we start getting this. I wait for 2 years for this to start happening. It's about damn time.
So that's the only reason why I'm doing this, Sean, right? So let me just be fully transparent. Like, as an emerging vendor, PitchIT has been really helpful for us from a lot of different perspectives. Obviously, getting our name out there, doing these sessions, and helping to getting the community to understand what we do, that's been a huge bucket. But the other bucket is, like, I have an ideal customer profile and personas. I have an ecosystem plan from Jay McBean and a process of rolling out integrations. I know what M&A kind of looks like. I have some idea. I've gotten a lot of business knowledge out of the PitchIT program from ConnectWise to make us a stronger company, to make me a better and stronger CEO for compliance risk. And it's really helped us gain that leverage rapidly.
Awesome. Well, and I'll give you kudos here, Tim. Last year to this year, you've definitely refined how you speak about things. I remember when you and I were prepping for the preliminaries last year and kept on saying, dude, are you a platform or a service? Are you a platform or a service? And you're like, well, let me explain. It's like, no, just answer the question. Are you a platform? And you felt so desperate to tell me all, like, in 4th grade, I thought about this thing. And yes, that's the.
So I have the answer to that, Sean, now.
Oh, Lord, yes, I know you do.
We are platform as a service.
You are a platform that provides a service. You do. No, you are. All platforms provide a service. Let's be honest. But there's a drastic difference.
Just playing on your words.
But you're spot on, though. Before it was, I didn't know if you were a service provider or a technology provider. Right?
I am the only one in the channel providing governance as a service created by an MSP for MSPs. How's that?
I like it.
So it's improved.
He's had practice. This is his 2nd year. He's learning. So I'm gonna go to Wayne on this one. What was your expectations going into PitchIT? What do you think you were trying to get out of PitchIT versus what you're actually getting out of it? I'm just curious of what your thoughts are on that.
My expectations have definitely been, like, they've been more than met, and if anything, I've got far more information out of it and connections than I ever would have thought. The one thing that I didn't realize was how much exposure we would actually get. And as I'd said, yes, the banter is great. Like, it's one thing you forget about within the space. Like, we're great at having jokes and holding people to those jokes for the rest of your life. But yeah, the exposure has been phenomenal. And I guess for like a startup, like, we've truly only really started in the last year. It's been phenomenal for that, because we've been kind of working incognito, getting ourselves ready for this. And we will be at IT Nation, but we're kind of looking at as being our big breakout and big boom to say hi to all the MSPs and show everybody what we can do and how we can help.
Nice.
I think it's probably something we should talk about is the fact that you guys will be at IT Nation Connect, whether you guys are finalists or not. The investment of this collective has been great. Honestly, all these vendors involved have put so much effort into this and are actually reinvesting. I think that's important that MSPs hear that, because a lot of times MSPs get scared that you're a fly by night. You're not going to be part of the space, because you can do a bunch of videos all day long and never show up. And there's never, ever any real investment from the vendor into the community. I've been in space for almost 20 years now, and I've seen it happen many, many times. So, and when you start seeing people physically there and physically paying for things, they don't know everything that's going on. They don't know all the things you guys go through with us. They don't know behind the curtain is behind the curtain always, but in front is actually being there. Exactly. So I think it's important to note that a lot of you guys are sponsoring already for IT Nation Connect, already have booths regardless if you become a finalist. I think that's important to actually talk about. I think it's important to promote that piece. But I'm sorry, Adam, I got excited.
Yeah.
Sean makes some really good points, right? Like, if we want to buy from robots, we're just going to go to Amazon, right? You know me well enough to know that I'm a people person connecting, and that's how we're growing and building our company based upon those relationships, right? The relationships are what's key. Yeah, we have a great product. Yeah, we have a great team, but it's about that client success. It's about those relationships that make it for us. It's why our MSP has been around and had clients for 20 plus years. Because at our core, we care about you like we would care about our mom.
Oh, that's sweet.
Well, I mean, that's the truth, right? So that is one of our core values about accountability, care, and trust, right? We would care about you as a partner of compliance risk, just like we would care about our mom. Now, that doesn't mean I don't do every little thing my mom asks me. I was the terrible 2-year-old like Sean and Keith would know all about, but truth is, like,
don't add to it, Tim. Don't. No,
I was to say, reinvesting in the space. Like, this will be our IT Nation will be our 4th conference in 2022, only launching in January. Think of the investment from a vendor perspective of what that cost. I'm here. We're here in the community to meet with you, to shake your hand, to maybe give you a hat and a t-shirt, whatever, to hear your concerns so that we can improve, so that we can provide you better tools, better processes, so that you can then be profitable.
I love it. All right.
Dude,
Adam,
I don't know
what to say after that. Good job. I'm just going to.
Yeah. So what I was gonna talk about, I think there's Sean. You've done a lot of work with PitchIT, right? Bringing in the competition. It's grown up.
It's two parts. It's not me alone, right? I mean, Andrea, Louie, you, Adam, helping other people and all the vendors. When I came in this space years ago with startups, I realized how difficult it was to navigate the space. It took a lot of work. And if you don't have the right people in place, that's already a problem in itself. A lot of people have great concepts that never get to market because they don't know how to get to market, right? So we try to focus on the pillars, which is the educational pieces for the workshops with all the right connections, because the more you know, the more people you know, the better you can do. Exactly. The 3 promises are very much involved with this. They make it easier to do business with for them and us. That falls in the realm of they integrate with ConnectWise. They're in front of people. They're educating them. That makes it easier to do business with, right? The invested more in partner growth. These vendors are doing this every day. All these guys are taking their money and putting it into their product, their services, their education, and whatnot. And then the more innovation, that's in order to do that, you have to innovate. You have to constantly innovate. And these guys have the ability. They're agile, And again, without this team and without these vendors, we wouldn't be where we are. That's for sure. I think the missing piece that we were able to provide was the ecosystem, the community, and tell them how to navigate it. That's the hard part.
Yeah. Trying to get in the doors or to understand where to go. It's been hugely important.
If you can't spend $1 million a year, you're kind of on marketing and networking and branding, you're kind of in a bad way sometimes.
Yep.
So,
for sure.
So thank you for that. Thanks, Keith.
Yeah.
Move on.
But it's important. The community, the program where it is today, it's different than it was. So Tim, I know that you started kind of the first year of this whole reinvigorating the PitchIT, right? Based on these 3 key initiatives that Jason McGee kind of set out. This incubator, if you will, for ConnectWise, and it's really, really awesome. unlike anything in the industry, right? And
Right.
so I gotta ask, we're wrapping up the show here, so I'll go with Tim. Like, what's the one thing you want people to know about your business?
Wow. So I get my 30-second pitch. So
Go.
at the end of the day, compliance is here. It's not coming. We are the only governance as a service platform that can help you maintain, grow, and operationalize your governance program at scale. We have 20 years of history doing this on our own with our federal government clients, and we want to help grow your knowledge, build your team, and roll these things out in a manner that can make you more efficient and eventually make you more money, but ultimately building that defensibility in yourself and in your clients.
Nice. And before I go to Wayne, if you were to win the prize money, being your second year, what would you do with that prize money?
I would give it all to Keith for putting up with Sean. No, I'm kidding. So we do have a plan.
How about you give it to Keith, but give it to me for the rearages, he goes. How about that? Let's go with that.
Yeah, that's probably better. So what we would do with the money is we have a 3-pronged approach: sales and marketing, development, and client success. Right? Those are 3 pillars that we're working towards right now as we're, looking at funding and all this fun stuff. Getting the word out and educating the MSPs. Sales and marketing. Continue to double, triple, quadruple down on our development efforts so we bring you best-in-class products. And then working within the community to be able to help everybody understand that it's here and you can't run from it. So let us help you referee it.
Nice. So Wayne.
I was going to say put it all on black, but okay.
Let's start off with a bigger question. What is the one thing you want our audience kind of to take away?
I think for me and from all my years experience, trust is built on consistent delivery. And within the MSP space, we have had tons of disruptions in the last number of years, from people working from home, the great resignation that's happened. And there's going to be more disruptions as we go. I feel like we're at the peak of everything we're delivering at a space right now, and it's going to be eroded away. We got to find ways to work with that. So truly what we're trying to do at Symoda is develop an awesome customer experience that we want our partner MSPs to be able to help define, be part of that journey, help us. Sean mentioned it earlier on, we're going to be agile. And we want to look at what is actually going to take stuff away from MSPs to make them more profitable. And then help us build a solution that they can then sell to their clients and create more stickiness with them in the future, because that's truly what every MSP needs, because we're all kind of doing the same thing. We need more ways to create stickiness, be able to maintain that relationship with those clients. And I stop people just deciding to leave and go to a different MSP every 3 years just because they feel like it.
Can we also just acknowledge the fact that Wayne makes us all look bad with all his trophy, all his medals hanging back there, like the Spartan race and all that. Just want to point that out.
I have a
bottle of whiskey here too. I'll tell you, does this make it easier? There you go.
Yeah, it's getting better by the moment.
There we go.
Does the mascot count?
It's getting better by the freaking moment. But although I do have the Spartan race one.
Cool.
I did the bone frog one as well.
Nice, awesome. Yeah, they're cool.
They were rough. My daughter actually, I know we gotta go, and Adam's gonna lose it in a minute. My daughter is 28, because your timing, I know how you feel. My 28-year-old daughter just did the Spartan race 2 weeks ago. She's 28. In her age group, she took first place.
Wow.
Dude, she did it in 51 minutes, the full 5 miles.
That's amazing. Well
and
done.
Then she took first place amongst her age group, and she took out of the, several hundred women that did it, she took 10th. I think maybe it was 1,100 women that did it. She took 10th in it all.
Wow.
And she was mad. She's like, I could have done better, but I was running my partner and she's a little slow. I eventually left her.
Oh my goodness, that's amazing. Fair play to her. That's awesome.
That's freaking stud.
And I guess just to finish off, Adam, I wouldn't technically put it all on black. I 100% would be Why not? I know it's my if it was to win, but we'll see. But no, 100% reinvest back into create a phenomenal tool for people. That's what we're doing. We gotta get out there. We gotta make things better for MSPs. That's what our goal is. And I won't reiterate everything that Tim said, but pretty much on the same lines. And then maybe put some of it on Black. Just
Black have a little party, because community is very important. We only have one person commit to a big party, so we got to get more. Sean,
working on it. It's happening. Working on it.
You mean the ConnectWise PitchIT party?
We're trying to work on one. We're trying to have one.
Yep.
I know.
Sure.
Was I the only one that committed?
No, there's more. Adam doesn't know. We haven't merged both sides. There's more than that, but we're trying to. I want to make this a big celebration, because, and I don't want to be about just this year's class. I want to be about all the technologies that are coming through ultimately, because I think it's important that any vendor that really applies themselves and invest. I think they all should be celebrated regardless, because every one of us is successful because of the contributions of all.
Mm-hmm. That's tides, ships, raising, all that fun stuff, right?
That was a good ending comment, right? I haven't told Tim started talking. Just messed it up.
Yeah, really great ending comment. I want to appreciate both you, Wayne, and Tim, for joining us today, learning about your organizations. This is really awesome seeing an app being developed, dealing with client experience. I love client experience. I'm a big proponent of that. Dealing with compliance, protecting your company, protecting your organization is another huge area which MSPs can leverage and take advantage of to protect themselves, right? And so we're going to be back here, I believe, next Wednesday. Sean, is that right? So
I think so. I don't know. Let me look and see here. Yes, we will, with B2B Toolbox and Thread.
Exactly. So that's really cool. Not Thread, Facebook Thread, but Thread. Different organization.
Yeah, total different organization.
So we can get Zuckerberg on here. We could.
You might lose a few.
We may gain 1 million though.
That's not fair if Zuckerberg's in this. Come on, guys.
I know. Let's come and talk about it.
Maybe he should just sponsor us.
Right. Exactly. Agreed.
Yeah.
All right, Adam.
Thank you, guys. Peace out. Enjoy the rest of your week. See you next Wednesday.
Thank you so much.